Western Europe was the first civilization in the world to be completely free of tribal culture. Tribalism came to an end very early in Europe, around 600 AD. In contrast, many African and Arab societies remain completely tribal to this day. Even in India and China, neither civilization fully detribalized. The Indian caste system is an amalgamation of Indian tribal culture with the Hindu religion. Unlike Hinduism in India, the Roman Catholic Church would not embrace Western Europe's indigenous tribal culture. The Roman Empire in Western Europe collapsed by 500 AD. It had been under constant attack by a number of powerful Germanic tribes. Soon after overrunning the Roman Empire, these Germanic tribes converted to Catholicism. The Roman Catholic Church, in turn, would end their tribal ways within 3 generations. There was nothing incompatible about Christianity and traditional European tribal culture, as Fukuyama points out that the Orthodox Church in Eastern Europe did not radically challenge European tribal customs. These values do not obviously stem from Christian doctrine. After all, the no less Christian Eastern Church in Constantinople made no parallel effort to change marriage and inheritance laws. As a result, tightly knit kin communities survived in most of the lands ruled by the Byzantium. So why did the Roman Catholic Church feel the need to end traditional tribal practices on marriage and inheritance? Francis Fukuyama says that the Roman Catholic Church preached against tribal European cultural practices because those practices kept wealth within tribal lines and away from the church. The Roman Catholic Church's edicts on marriage, divorce, and inheritance ultimately resulted in large financial donations to the Roman Catholic Church. The Catholic Church took a strong stand against 4 practices: marriages between close kin, marriages to widows of dead relatives, the adoption of children, and divorce. Life expectancy in Europe was at the time less than 35 years. The probability of producing a male heir who survived into adulthood and who could carry on the ancestral line was quite low. As a result, societies legitimated a wide range of practices that allowed individuals to produce heirs. Cross-cousin marriage ensured that property would remain in the hands of close family members. The church systematically cut off all available avenues that families had for passing down property to descendants. At the same time, it strongly promoted voluntary donations of land and property to itself. The church thus stood to benefit materially from an increasing pool of property owning Christians who died without heirs. By the end of the 7th century, 1/3 of the productive land in France was in ecclesiastical hands. The Roman Catholic Church did not face an immediate backlash from European society against its practice of extracting a large share of West European society's wealth. Over time, however, there was conflict between the Catholic Church and rulers of Western European countries. One of the most infamous incidents in England involved the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket, in 1170 AD. Thomas Becket restricted King Henry II's authority over the affairs of the Roman Catholic Church in England, which controlled a large proportion of the land in England. In particular, Becket would not allow clerics who had been accused of crimes to be tried in civilian courts. The public perception was that the religious courts were lenient on clerics who had been found guilty of wrongdoing. Becket's intransigence infuriated Henry II. In the presence of English barons, Henry II is thought to have shouted, "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" 4 of King Henry II's heavily armed knights set out to arrest Becket in Canterbury Cathedral. Thomas Becket resisted the arrest and was assassinated in Canterbury Cathedral by the 4 knights. Henry II came to deeply regret the incident, especially as he had been a close friend of Thomas Becket when they were both younger. For the next few hundred years, the rulers in England and the Roman Catholic Church worked to avoid having similar confrontations. There were similar conflicts between the Catholic Church and rulers in other European countries throughout the Middle Ages. The biggest conflagration would occur in the Germanic princely states at the heart of Europe, in the area called the Holy Roman Empire. It consisted of small princely German states that had weak governments. These weak governments were not in a position to challenge the Catholic Church's practice of extracting increasing amounts of wealth from their societies. In 1517, Pope Leo X offered indulgences for those who gave alms to rebuild St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. The aggressive marketing practices of Johann Tetzel in promoting this cause provoked Martin Luther to write his 95 Theses, condemning what he saw as the purchase and sale of salvation. Martin Luther was a Catholic monk, priest and professor of theology in Saxony, Germany. He felt he could no longer ignore the abuses being conducted by the Roman Catholic Church against the German people, so he published his 95 Theses condemning papal authority. Within 2 weeks, Martin Luther's theses had spread throughout all the German princely states. Within 4 weeks, they had spread throughout Western Europe. Martin Luther became a German hero figure instantaneously. The German princes and merchants who opposed the Roman Catholic Church's financial interests coalesced to protect Martin Luther from the Catholic Church and its allies. This set off several hundred years of violent religious warfare in Western Europe as the Catholic Church tried to reestablish its supremacy in Northern Europe. It largely failed, and Protestantism became established in Northern Europe. The strong states in England, France, and Spain had oversight of the Catholic Church's activities. As a result, the Catholic Church did not engage in overtly abusive practices in England, France, and Spain, as it had done in the Germanic states. Consequently, in England, the Catholic Church was a well-liked institution. It carried out many good works. Henry VIII, however, came up against one of the oldest Catholic doctrines, its prohibition on divorce. Henry VIII faced the same problem that the West European tribal patriarchy did a millennium earlier in trying to continue the tribal ancestral line. Henry VIII was desperate for a male heir and so wanted the Roman Catholic Church to grant him a divorce from Catherine of Aragon, his first wife. When Pope Clement VII refused the divorce, Henry VIII converted to Protestantism and tried to abolish Catholicism from England. In summary, around 600 A.D., the Catholic Church delegitimized and ended the West European tribal way of life. A millennium later, West European society would delegitimize and end the Catholic Church's authority in Northern Europe. This long and radical process in Western Europe created the first detribalized society in the world, one without strong, tightly knit kin communities. Importantly, this atomized society in Western Europe was governed by secular laws. It would be this novel society in Western Europe that would act as the launch pad for the Industrial Revolution.